Hey everyone, Paul Riopelle here. Welcome to episode 4. Today, my guest is longtime friend and bandmate, Stephen Wolfson. Let's go. Welcome back to the Riopelle Room. Here we are. Hey everyone, welcome to the Riopelle Room. Today, my guest is the one, the only, Stephen Wolfson.
Hey, Paulie.
Stephen, how you doing, man?
Paul, I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm okay. So, here we are. Thank you for joining me today.
My pleasure.
Let's start at the beginning, okay?
Yes.
So,
Okay.
let's go back.
Yes.
Let's go back.
Sound effects. Wow.
That's,
This is like
that's the
radio.
only reason I'm doing this. You understand
Exactly.
that, right? So, how did we meet? We met obviously on 4th Street. David Jenkins, our bandmate
Yes.
and pal, of course,
Yes.
for many, many years. By the way, Stephen and I have been pals for many, many years too, and bandmates.
40 years.
And yes, 40 years to be exact. We are old. So David thinks like we all met on the sidewalk there at 4th Street. Do you have any recollection of how you and David were friends already, but
Yeah, so Dave and I were friends, and I got to tell you, my first memory of Dave is that he was running down the block in a Superman outfit.
of course.
Which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah.
I thought I got to know this kid. This kid's cool, or he's crazy. So yeah,
Maybe both.
or maybe both. Yeah, he's both. So Dave and I both live on 4th Street in Los Angeles. And let's see. Okay, so then Angela, your sister, she moves in below Dave. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. And so you'd come over, and at first you meet Dave, and then Dave says, I met this cool kid. Now, the thing always about you was you were the older kid because you're 2 years older. You're an old man.
Yeah.
you're the elder statesman of the group. So Dave says, I met this cool older kid, and so Dave introduces me to you, and then that's how I meet your family, and we get wrapped up in, I think even before music, we get wrapped up into the Superman films. So we've got a Super 8 camera, and we become obsessed with making these Superman movies where Dave's running around in these tights up and down the block pretending to be Superman.
And that is a beautiful image, I tell you.
Yeah, yeah. And you were the villain. I think I was the villain one time, and like young girls were tied to the train tracks, and there was, so yeah. So we start cinematic.
Wait, that was another movie. Wait, go ahead.
We start cinematically, and then we move into the world of music. Now, should I say how that started?
Please.
Okay, so the three of us are obsessed with the Beatles, and for some reason we don't think that like we could actually learn to play musical instruments. So, but we own tennis rackets,
Right.
or our families own tennis rackets. So we come up with this brilliant idea that we're going to lip sync Beatle records and invite the neighborhood kids over to concerts, and we would
Right.
have these concerts where we're pretending to play guitar or bass with tennis rackets and lip syncing, and kids actually, I don't think they paid, hopefully they didn't pay, but they would come from all around the neighborhood to watch us do this, which was insane. I think sometimes the parents came. It was crazy. And somehow at some point, the three of us each became drummers,
Yes.
and we all were obsessed with playing drums, and we started taking drum lessons. But very quickly we learned it was going to be very hard to have a band with 3 drummers. So we came up with this idea that we would rotate drummer, that we'd each play drums on different songs, but that we had to learn other instruments. And I knew I wanted to write songs, so I thought, well, I'll learn guitar. And I think you already knew some guitar, or you were taking guitar at the same time.
Right.
Paul already knows some chords. He's showing me chords because everything I'm writing is all just on the lower E or the upper E string. And Paul shows me, wait, you can actually put your fingers on the other strings and make
See those
these
other
chords.
5 things there? Those like long things?
Yeah, I know. It was exciting. So, but then I also started taking guitar lessons. So we pitch our money together, $60, and we answer an ad in the recycler, which is, at the time for the kids in the audience, is the equivalent of Craigslist, but before the internet. You could buy anything in the recycler. And we buy this Hofner, looks like a Beatle bass because we're obsessed with the Beatles. And
it was made by Crown. The name of the manufacturer
made by Crown,
is Crown.
yes, yeah. And Paul and I just, with some reason we get in our head that like neither one of us is that excited about playing bass. So we'll just stick it on Dave. So we hand it to Dave. And eventually I think Dave even buys us out from the bass and like he ends up owning the bass himself. But that starts, his whole life is he becomes this master, amazing bass player. But
I was going to say, that's the irony. We kind of forced him to do it. And then he's like the greatest bass player.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, so we moved from the tennis rackets to now we're a band. I think at the time that we're called the Last Chance Band. I'm not sure where that. Paul, where did that name come from?
I just came up. That just popped in my head. And it's like the Last Chance Band.
Yeah.
I think we went from the Last Chance Band to Last Chance. We modified it at some point earlier.
The logo was too big with Last Chance Band. So,
right.
So now we start playing these backyard concerts. So we've moved from the tennis rackets to playing actual instruments, and we've got the drums set up, and we got a bass, and we got guitar amps, and we jerry rig a PA, and now we're doing these backyard shows for all the kids that we used to talk into coming to the I think even our fan base is building now that we actually have songs and we're playing instruments. But this leads to a seminal moment where I come to your house for the first time. Now can I tell that story now?
Please do. Yes, that's okay, what I want to get to. Like how Jerry came into your life.
Yeah. So Jerry, in this moment, Jerry comes into my life, and I'm curious if you remember, because you're going to say this sounds ridiculous, but I so vividly remember it. So I come over to your house. And you're living across the street from a park. From what, Plummer Park?
Plummer Park, yeah, on Vista Street.
Yes,
yep,
on
in
Vista
West
Street.
Hollywood.
Vista Kids, exactly.
The Vista Kids, yeah.
Now I come to the house. I think my mom drops me off or something, and the doors open, and there is music blasting from your house. And I already think I love this place already. This is amazing. There's like rock and roll music coming out of the house. And I walk into the house, and there's your dad, and I think your mom's home too, and you were coming out of your bedroom or something, and it is Led Zeppelin's In Through the Outdoor, which had just come out at the time. I think it was 79 or somewhere around there.
Right.
Is blasting on the turntable. I'd not heard, this is amazing because I love Led Zeppelin. I'd not heard this album yet. And now you have a copy of this new Led Zeppelin album. And like your parents are into this. Like they're like cool with the fact that this music's blasting in the house. And I'm thinking, where have I landed? Like this is so different than where I live, but so awesome.
What's so funny is I really have no memory of that.
Yeah, I figured.
But that's I don't doubt it. So.
Yeah, right. But so that was great. I mean, that starts many a night and many a time where I sleep over your house, and I think I've said to you before, but I've told the story, which is that why your dad played such a significant role in my life as a kid, but even later on and throughout my life, your dad has played a significant role, is that up until meeting your father, I had never met a professional musician or songwriter before. Mm-hmm. So these are always people like the Beatles that seemed far off in the distance. And to get to know your father and to be around your father and hear him write songs and come home with songs. And it was the first time where I realized that, wow, you can actually do this. Like this is, you can have a life and be a musician and be a songwriter. And so that was, incredibly special. Besides that, your dad becomes really my mentor as a songwriter and then a mentor for us as a band.
Right.
That the fact that what your dad was doing and then getting to go to Arizona and seeing this amazing fan base in Arizona.
Well, that's what I want to talk to you, because David Jenkins and I touched on this a little bit, and this was quite a laugh that we got. This is what I recall as far as introducing you to that whole world of this my dad and what was going on in this other land. How
right.
LA, pretty, anonymous for the most part. Phoenix, right. Like a superstar. And I was trying to share that with you guys. You guys aren't going to believe this, but you'll look at these videotapes. So I believe I showed you videos from the like black and white from the Celebrity Theater, or maybe even the Compton Terrace, which is was that huge concert. That was in 79. And I remember sharing those videos with you and saying, you guys you got to come out sometime. You got to make this trip to Phoenix and check it out. It's crazy. I don't know if you yet were into the music or you're kind of like, okay, that's kind of weird and cool and surreal.
As I recall, by the time that I came out for the first time I came to Arizona, actually first time coming to Arizona in my life and then getting to see your dad play live, I knew the music then.
You did, but I mean, when I was showing you the videos, you were probably just kind of, that was probably your first exposure. Am I correct?
Sure. I vividly remember the black and white from The Celebrity and the black and white from, the big gig, yes.
Yeah, and then Dave and I were talking about the trip to Arizona where...
that was great.
Mesa Amphitheater is where it was.
Yes.
And we're guessing that it was a couple of years after we met. So I'm thinking it was like 81, somewhere in there when we actually made that trip. And
was this the trip we were in the RV?
Yes. And
yes, okay.
David thinks that you may have gone to a San Diego show where he opened for Bonnie Raitt. I don't know if that was before Phoenix or after, but
my memory is that was after Phoenix.
Okay, that's possible too. That's possible too. So anyway, the funniest moment, one of the funniest moments in Phoenix was when my dad had a notebook of song lyrics and he said, here,
yes.
And then you and David go out into the audience,
sell them,
little entrepreneur.
Yes.
And we're selling them. So,
yes.
So as I told David and told the audience, if anyone has those, I would sure love to know what those song lyrics were. And I would love to have a copy of that because anyway.
And I can't believe that your dad was cool with that he was like, here, go ahead.
Yeah, he was like, whatever. Go ahead.
Yeah. But to be at that gig, and I remember it so vividly, and there were so many people there, and to see people know the music so well and be so excited about the music, it was just, it was like I had landed on another planet. And I've still, the times when I've come back to Arizona, whether it was seeing your dad again or getting the privilege of opening for your father or doing recently the tribute show, or even when I teach writing and when I have a student come into class who grew up in Arizona, all I got to say is Jerry Riopelle, and they light up. Yeah, and I have had so many former writing students tell me great stories about the impact that your dad's music had on their life. Right. It's great.
And he was always so supportive of us, of our band, our little band, Emotion. And by the way, and I'm sure you probably know this, but he was so enamored by your songwriting ability at such a young age. He was like, that kid Steven, man, he's the most prolific songwriter I know. I mean, he that's a quote. He said that.
That's hilarious.
So and he was always very supportive. And I do want to play a song, and I know this is one of your favorites. And I don't know if you want to set this up a little bit before we play it, and then we can talk about it afterward.
There were two really vivid memories of hearing Carry Me Away, this amazing song, for the first time. The first time literally is I'm sleeping over your house and your dad is recording the Dangerous Stranger album, and he comes home and plays us a little tape of like what he had just worked on, which was not mixed yet. And my whole world is just like explodes at hearing this song, But I had just remembered that there was another time, X number of months later, where I'm at your house and your dad comes home and he has the first press vinyl, the first pressing of the album.
Yeah.
And he literally puts it on. Now, I remember this song, how much I love this song, but I don't know at the time that literally the first song on the album is Carry Me Away.
Right.
And he drops that needle down and, we blasted through the speakers in your living room or your living room, dining room. And I'm like, oh my God, and forever, I mean, to this day, the benchmark for me for like what is a great song is Carry Me Away.
Wow.
That's just it. And so everything I did, and even when your dad was so supportive of my work as a songwriter, I felt like, but it's not Carry Me Away. So you're being nice to me, but if I could write half as well as what I hear and Carry Me Away, I would be happy. But
he probably wishes he had written Breakfast on Tuesday. You never know, right?
that would be hilarious. All right, you want to play the song?
Yeah, I will. And just so people know, Breakfast on Tuesday is a song, The Motion, of the motions that Stephen wrote years and years.
Yeah.
When he was a little bitty kid.
Yes.
But it was
15
a great
years
one.
old.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yes, let's play Carry Me Away, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it. Okay, so here we go.
I mean, come on.
That's a fun one. That's definitely a fun one. Yeah.
No, it's beyond fun. It's just, and we've talked about what drove me crazy was, I'm not saying your dad didn't love Carry Me Away, but for whatever reason, he didn't always put it in the set, and I couldn't believe.
For a long time, he didn't, but he always would start a rehearsal with it. He liked using it as a warm up, and I don't. I've worked with you a long time, and
Right.
there's some things that I'll never understand. As far
Exactly.
as it's the writer has a different opinion or has a different perspective than
Right.
the listen than we do. Maybe I
Right.
don't know.
But it was great, when we got the chance to play it at
Oh my God, that
the
was
tribute
great.
show.
It really was
I mean,
great.
yeah,
That was a lot of
people
fun.
just jump to their feet, and it's just one of those songs. I mean, and I've heard the song. I was thinking another memory was that when I finally got the album as a kid, I played it so many times that I wore a groove in that song. So on the bartender line, it just kept skipping over and over. So I'd have to push the needle a little. So, but yeah, I mean, it just everything I love about your dad's music. And, we talked about after the tribute show that the hard thing, virtually impossible thing to replicate that your dad did, so many things, was his piano playing.
Well, yeah, it was. I always like to say he was like a drummer on the piano.
Yes.
It was all feel. It
Yes.
wasn't fancy, but it definitely was its own style, and he would never consider himself a technically advanced player of unlike for example, like an Alfred Johnson who was like out of this world,
brilliant.
Right?
Who's
but
brilliant.
yeah, but his piano was definitely special and definitely unique, and was all feel. It really was all groove and feel. And anyway, go ahead. But
it create when I think about whether it's the opening of "Carry Me Away" or the opening of "So Young," I can't separate those songs from your dad's feel on the piano and what he's doing. And so it's not as simple as I think that's the thing about sometimes about your dad's music, which is like the thought of this isn't that complicated. We know from having played it, playing "Carry Me Away" is not easy.
Right. It's not as easy as you think by listening. It seems very basic when you just listen to it.
Yeah.
And then when you go and try to, the groove and the timing is a little. Yeah. But anyway, we pulled it off and it was great. I thought the audience really.
And I got to
it.
give shout out, and I know you talked to him, but the great Dave Plen, who is one of my all-time favorite guitar players.
Oh yeah, we didn't touch on that, but he always great guitar player.
Yeah, but the parts that he plays on "Carry Me Away," I mean, it's just incredible. I mean, it's just
well, and the second solo is George Knopfel, who is also a very good guitar player.
Yeah,
so
but just all the groove and there's so many parts going on, and the way the bridge is and the chord progression on the bridge, which is really interesting, kind of gets a little dark too.
Oh yeah, and the build, it's great. It's a perfect little rompy pop song. Yeah.
I love it.
Would you say that's your favorite, or could you even pick a favorite? And if you could, is that it? A favorite Jerry Riopelle song? Or is that too hard?
You understand, for me, picking a favorite Jerry Riopelle song is like picking a favorite Beatles song. It's just you can't do it because
top
not
five,
only there's so many songs.
Top five? Would it be?
It's probably it's probably in the top five. I think more about your dad's music about certain periods.
Right.
So I have songs from the Saving Grace, Take a Chance period.
Yeah.
This is a little later, a little bit at a time, Dangerous Stranger. Yeah. But then we were just talking recently, there's songs that are much later, Real Man, which is like a brilliant song, much later song. Right. I was just walking around the house yesterday singing a song, Tough Love, which
that's a great one too.
Remember,
hands-on.
It's a great song, but I remember my memory with that is your dad writing that and hearing that at your house. I think you were on Waring at the time, like when him playing that for like, oh my God, this song's amazing. And so I equate like your dad's music with like certain periods of my life and certain things that he was doing at the time or certain albums that he was making, and so it'd be impossible to say like there's one great Jerry Riopelle song. There's so many great Jerry Riopelle songs.
For me, man, when it's time to break down, you can run and hide. When it's time to break out now, baby, you throw off my stride. When it's time to make love, you act like you're afraid of the dark. Baby, don't you understand? You're not looking for a real man. Well, I ain't gonna meet somebody else's high ideals. I ain't gonna pose like one of those jokers up on the hill. Baby, baby, they're dressed to kill. Well, I'm not here to make all of your uptown dreams come true. Baby, you can find yourself a man that's just like you. I just wanna know love, meet it face to face. Take it in my arms now, baby. Keep it warm and safe. When it's time to make love, I'll give it all the attention allowed. Baby, don't you understand? You're not looking for a real man. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Baby, don't you understand? You're not looking for a real man. Well, I ain't gonna meet somebody else's high ideals. I ain't gonna pose like one of your jokers up on the hill. Baby, baby, they're dressed to kill. Well, I ain't here to make all of your uptown dreams come true. Baby, you can find yourself a man that's just like you. I just wanna know love, meet it face to face. Take it in my arms now, baby. Keep it warm and safe. When it's time to make love, I'll give you all the attention allowed. Baby, don't you understand? You're not looking for a real man. Baby, don't you understand? You're not looking for a real man. Baby, don't you understand? You're not looking for a real man. You're not looking for a real man.
I'm gonna make you become the envy of the entire audience right now.
Yeah.
Saving Grace, you found something recently, and you have. Why don't you tell everyone what you found on
Okay.
on eBay? Where did you find this thing?
It was on eBay.
Okay.
And you and I and Jenkins would do this, which is periodically we'd go on eBay and say like, oh, look, we found this
Right,
like Australian single of your dad's, and so for whatever reason, it comes up on eBay, one of my crazy searches, that a guy who worked for the record label at the time had a test pressing of Saving Grace
Right.
that he had literally never played. It somehow got like put away, and he didn't know like what he had, and it's like, well, let's sell this one. I thought, this is gold. I mean, this is unbelievable.
Right.
So amazingly, I won the auction and I got it. And I remember you saying to me like, don't mess it up. It's pristine. I said, I gotta listen to it once. And I even, when Living the Life came on, the first track, I recorded some of it and sent it to Dave Plen. And I was like,
oh, did you?
And I showed him the test pressing label, and I'm like, you got to hear it. He's like, oh my God, it sounds so great.
Yeah, it's a great. That's a great sounding record. It has such a vibe to it, such a mood, and that's Keith Olsen. The reason that record sounds like it does is largely Keith Olsen's
I mean,
expertise.
Saving Grace and Take a Chance are just like masterworks. There's not
Yeah.
Every song on both of those albums I love, and the sound of the albums, and it's incredible. So now I think other than one other time, I have not played that test pressing, and it literally sits on my turntable. And like I don't know why it is, but I just love the idea of like forever, like your dad's. Yeah, it's like he's talking to me through the turntable, right. Steven.
That's a great. So maybe we should wrap it up, Steven.
All right.
Are you okay? First of all, you got anything you want to plug? What are you up to? I know you're also you're a writer to this day, and
right.
You teach writing. Is there anything you want to talk about?
Okay, so I'm actually going to give a plug for someone else, which is my amazing daughter, Sophia Wolfson.
Do that.
Who is an incredible songwriter. She's made a couple albums now, and she's done all these, just the world of the internet, and now she's traveled to Europe and played in Europe and releasing music. And so go to your favorite music source, Spotify or iTunes or Amazon, and check out Sophia Wolfson. She's an incredible songwriter. And I will say that it was great that she grew up listening to Jerry's music.
Yes.
And that there are photographs of her as a little kid, in Arizona going to the New Year's Eve show.
Right. She and Vivian came to one of those shows. They were real little. And
and got up on stage at midnight. And so it means a lot to me. And even one of at the tribute show we did in Los Angeles, she came up and sang on Carry Me Away.
That's right.
And that Jerry's music, went beyond me, went to my kids. Both my kids know your dad's music really well. Yeah. My wife loves your dad's music. Yeah. And so my plug is check out Sophia Wolfson's music. I think you'll dig it.
And you know how he loved your family, by the way, very much. And you know that. So
yeah. And when I was
saying
it's true.
Music,
No, I mean, here's a little that we're all I'm going to start crying. Your dad's influence on me as a kid was big about being a songwriter and learning how to be a songwriter and learning through your father. Mm-hmm. But that influence of seeing him as a father interact with you and Angela, I think about that to this day as a father, and especially being the father of a musician, that I think, I mean, I made a joke about this, that I really need a bracelet that says, "What would Jerry do?" I mean, that's like that when I think about,
I can just see his smile, that little sly smile, you saying that.
Oh, absolutely. But it's true. It's because I think, the advice that he's given me and the times when he was so supportive, and even the times, I got to tell one story, which is that, years after you and I were in a band together, Jenkins and I were in various bands. And one of them sort of like became this sort of like progressive rock crazy thing that we were doing. Whatever, this is what I wanted to do at the time. And your dad came to the show, and after the show, he walks up to me, and he's like, "Steven, what the hell was that?" And it didn't break my heart. I mean, I laughed, but I was like, you know what? He's right. It was crazy. I don't know what the hell I was doing, but after that, I sort of went back to the roots, and songs like "Let 'Em Go, Sarah" and things that really harken back to your father's influence on my music. There was some way of like sort of pairing, getting rid of the bullshit and just getting back to like writing songs.
Right.
Cause that's sort of always what your dad taught me. But as the father of a musician, it really, that influence that you're watching how your father interacted with us, and especially with you, that I thought, well, okay, you know what? That's a good role model. If I can do what Jerry's done for me and did for Paul and Dave, then I must be maybe doing something right. So major props to your dad for that.
Well, that's
it means
great.
a lot.
Well, cool. And by the way, we also still make music every once in a while, and hopefully we'll get to play live again and make some new music. So that's The Motion.
And we have an album that is on all the services too, called Whatever Pleases You. So
Whatever Pleases You. Yes,
Whatever Pleases You.
So Steven, thank you for joining me in the Riopelle room today. And thank you everyone for listening, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.